welcome to Day or Night Exotics TV. I'm Dale the Knight. This spoTlighT I've been wanting to make for a very long time, and that's the long-awaited update on my Stromatopelma calceatum, the Feather Leg Baboon. She is so reclusive, we never ever see her anymore. She just burrows down, even though she's in a burrow species. She burrows like crazy. The most reclusive tarantula in my collection by far. Hasn't been on a feeding video in a while. I can't do a spoTlighT on a pile of dirt, so we're gonna rehouse her in this one. So we're finally gonna see her out in the open since probably a half a year ago. So let's jump right into this one, the Stromatopelma calceatum rehouse. Well, it's time to finally rehouse this Stromatopelma calceatum, the Feather Leg Baboon. Her name is Caesar, and I do believe this is a female. Obviously, I've never gotten an intact molt out of this one. Usually it's like exploded, like she just ripped her molt right off of her skin. So never really have. Maybe a couple of intact molts when she was around an inch. Right now, I believe she might be around 3.5 inches. I haven't seen her out in the open in a long time, so this would be the first time I've seen her out in the open once we rehouse this lady. As you can see, the enclosure is outlived its usefulness for this one. I want to give her a little bit more room, so we're going to rehouse her, and hopefully it goes off smoothly. This is a look into her current enclosure. As you can see, now that the humidity has gotten a little bit higher in my room due to the summer weather or the late spring weather, mold is starting to build up in there, so I'm going to have to get this all cleaned out, and might as well rehouse her into something a little bigger to give her some room, even though she doesn't really use hardly any of this space. The more room for her, the better. She tends to really do elaborate work as far as burrowing systems go. She's one of the coolest burrowing species that I have, and I say burrowing species because this was obviously an African species, the Calceatum. It's a West African arboreal. Mine is right now pretty much a burrower. It never comes out. I actually see my OBT a lot more than I see this one. So this is one reclusive T that I never see. It doesn't even come out to eat. If I put the food in there, she usually waits well until I turn the light off, and then she'll eat it. She does everything in complete darkness. The only time I ever really get a glimpse of her is if I kind of slip into this room and peer in with a red light or something, because as soon as that light goes on, she's gone. So she hates light, absolutely hates it. Alright, so this Feather Leg Baboon will be going into this new enclosure. This is just an UTZ pretzel container. This is it's got a lot more room obviously in it, but not an excessive amount of room. It's just a little bit bigger, and it'll give her a little more room. And I put in a little more substrate for her, so she can, if she wants to dig, she can dig. But I didn't fill it up too much. I want to make sure she has enough room for a water dish and her hide. So this should do fine for her. This used to house my avic that passed away, my mature male avic. So I've been wanting to use this one again anyway, because that avic passed away pretty quickly after I made this enclosure up. So this is all new substrate in there for forest moss, real tree bark, and the water dish. And once we get her transferred over, hopefully she likes it. Alright, so we're upstairs in the bathroom. This is the only place I rehouse this lady. It cannot be done down in the reptile room. There's too many places for this one to hide in case it gets out. So we're going to be doing it in here. Again, I don't know how much I'm going to film. I'll try to film as much as I can, but I'm going to try to just concentrate on just getting this T out of the old enclosure into the new one. If you look very carefully, there is the legs of the feather leg. I basically took her old hide out. She was still in it, and I dumped it in here. And if she permits me, I'm gonna go ahead and just leave her in here like that until she comes all the way out, and I'll take that piece out. But it's really just based on her mood right now. She's a lot bigger than I thought she was. I mean, just based off those legs, alone, this is a pretty good sized Feather Leg Baboon. So I wasn't able really to film any of the transfer because there really wasn't much to see, but as you can see here, she is back in her enclosure, her new one anyway. She really wasn't that bad. I actually just put the hide in first with her burrow in, as you saw, and then I just took the paintbrush and gently just kind of guided her out of it, and she gently walked out onto the bark and underneath it down here, and that's where she's been ever since. So really no fuss. I'm really happy that she was able to just go straight into this enclosure without having to chase her around with cups. That's not really one of my things I look forward to when I'm rehousing, is chasing a tarantula around with cups, but she didn't even attempt to run, so that's cool. She really has never been a problem at all. My OBT is a lot more feistier than this one. Although I know a lot of people have very laid back OBTs. My OBT is not so much laid back. This one is actually a very, very laid back Stromatopelma Calceatum. I really have never had a problem out of her as far as temperament or escaping or threat posture. She's never thrown a threat posture. She's never escaped on me. She's never attempted to run when I rehouse her. She's actually one of the more pleasant ones to rehouse because she really is just fine. I mean, she really doesn't do anything at all. And the older she gets better with each one. She doesn't really seem to be bothered by me moving her. She adapts to our new enclosures very well, so I really can't complain about this feather leg. It's really an awesome species. If you have some experience and you want to get something like this, I always recommend, having a little experience before you get something like this or an OBT. But if you do venture into these types of baboons, they're really awesome T's own. I mean, I really recommend them to people who really love tarantulas, and you won't see them that often if you get one like mine that burrows, but there are plenty out there that I've seen that are out all the time, and you can see them, especially when they start to get bigger. Like my OBT, I see my OBT all the time. She's always out and about walking around, but I know a lot of people don't see theirs. My OBT, as she's gotten older, has just now started doing that in the last 6 months. But because she rarely comes out, but this one is just very reclusive. I always like to get some photos of her and share them with you guys when she's out, and get some video of her, and make sure I update her for you guys, because this is a tarantula we just don't see all that often. I mean, it's one of my favorite species in the hobby. If you look at this tarantula, there's just so much going on, much like the H-Mac, but just with a little bit more going on with it, with those beautiful hairs on the legs, which gives it its trademark common name, the Feather Leg Baboon. You can clearly see how beautiful those legs are. It's just an awesome species own. I mean, the abdomen on that thing is gorgeous. All the accents of the black, the white, and the camera's really not even picking up all the pinks and the aqua greens and blues and all kinds of color going on in there with the legs. If you get the light on it just right, it's awesome, especially on underneath. The dorsal side is just awesome looking. So these are really good species. They're not really that expensive if you find the right dealer. I got mine at a reptile expo, so it was a little cheaper than you're gonna get it online. I think I got this one for like 15 bucks, and it was teeny tiny. It was like barely a quarter inch when I got it, and I think I've had her for like 3 years, maybe about 2 years now, maybe. But again, if you have some experience, like I said, I recommend them. Just make sure you're very familiar with this species and done your homework. They do have a higher venom toxicity than most tarantulas. This one's pretty high on the list, up there with the OBT. So it's definitely a tarantula you want to be a little cautious with, just in case there might be something unexpected happens when you're doing something like rehousing or feeding or something like that. But like I said, you might get a specimen like mine, which is probably one of the most laid back teas in my collection so far, and definitely one of the more beautiful species. It's just one of the species that I knew I was going to get the moment I got into the hobby. because of the beautiful coloration on this guy or this lady. And when she's all the way spread out, and you can see that all the coloration on it, really is an awesome tea, and you really appreciate these Feather Leg Baboons for what they are. I mean, they've been labeled as, you know, kind of scary, but and they can be. I've seen some that have that really are scary, that charge when they throw their threat posture. But this one, so far, no, just not the case at all with this one. So each individual animal is its own animal, so the characteristics of it are very aggressive, but this one is not even defensive. So that is a case-by-case basis. So like I said, hopefully she'll stay out in this enclosure. I kind of built it in a way where if she, now that she's getting bigger, hopefully she stays out in the open. It'd be really cool to have her out more and see her back in feeding videos and more regular updates for you guys, because there are not a lot of videos out there with the Stromatopelma calceatum just doing her thing. So hopefully she'll stay out in the open more, and hopefully we'll start seeing her in some future feeding videos. Hope you enjoyed this detailed look at my S. calceatum. You can always go to my YouTube channel page and check out Day or Night Exotics TV, and check out all the playlists for my tarantulas. There's the spoTlighT series and Tarantula Cloud. And if you're into reptiles, there's a reptile ore playlist that shows all my ball pythons and frogs and geckos and things like that. So that'll do it for this one, guys. There'll be more in the future. Take care, be safe, and have a good one, guys and gals. Take care.